Well, I want to ask you two questions about filmmaking and acting, but just first have to interject with the question of being called the new Ingmar Bergman.
Oh,
how does that make you feel? What type of responsibility?
It's very interesting, you know, because the Swedish film industry is divided in two parts, basically. And one was the Ingmar Bergman part, and the other one was Bo Widerberg. And I have always been connected with the Bo Widerberg part because the producer that I started work with, Kalle Boman, he worked with Bo Widerberg in the 60s. So I have never been the Ingmar Bergman when it comes to the Swedish film industry, at least. So here, that is kind of nice. The first time I ever heard it.
So you have heard it, but I'm wondering with the sense of responsibility that's around that too, because that would put a lot of pressure on someone.
No, I don't have any problem with pressure, actually. I try to enjoy the pressure. I don't take it that seriously, I must say, but you know, sometimes it's good to have high goals, or what do you say, high expectations. If you say, for example, I love to say, okay, next film will be in competition in Cannes, because then you have to perform better and you have to push everybody in the production in order to perform better. If you don't know where you are aiming for, then it would be very hard to increase your performance. So I think it's important to have high expectations on yourself and not take them too seriously, but at the same time let those high expectations encourage you.
And it goes back to uncomfortability as well, which makes a fascinating dynamic on screen, but maybe not so great in real life. But okay, that's another subject, another video, another time. So for Writing the Square, how many pages was the script?
I don't remember now. Was it 124 or something like that? I think it is normal.
Yeah, 110 is normal, I guess.
But I write in a more literary way first. So, and then I have someone doing an American standard script out of that, the first script that I'm writing. But I like much more to write about in a literary way, where you can write what the characters are thinking and things like that. Things that is quite hard to show when it comes to a visual product. But so I write in a kind of different way. And both of the scripts that I've been doing actually have been published as novels also, Force Majeure and The Square. So.
Terry, when you're presented with a script, what is your process for going through it and saying yes to a project?
Well, I said yes to a project after we had a FaceTime conversation, and he laughed and I laughed, and we just said I liked him when I met him on FaceTime, and I thought his ideas were great, and I saw Force Majeure and I loved that film, and I thought he's gonna make me look good, so I just love his sensibility and the way he shoots. He takes time, he allows moments to play out in time. Nothing feels rushed, and I feel like the way he captures scenes was the setups, the shots, the angles he takes all had a really interesting way of telling a story, so that would be an exciting adventure to join, and I'm very happy that I did.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know you're a professor at university?
Yes.
Okay. Can we talk about if there was a theoretical square in the classroom? So let's say the classroom is a safe place to talk about ideas and critique work, even with actors. Do you think that it's more of it's a less critical space, the classroom, rather than if you see a trailer at a film screening, you see the trades, one is more likely to criticize another's work for whatever reasons they have. But the classroom setting itself is its own square.
Well, what I think is important when it comes to the classroom is that you should not look too, how to say, personally on your work. You should separate yourself from your work, because in that way you can be able to take criticism when it comes to your work without making it a personal problem. We're actually talking about something that is outside of yourself now. So, and of course that is hard in the beginning when you're new in doing movies and things like that, because everybody wants to make it. Everybody wants to be the one that is being able to be professional and work with this business and this industry. And the competition is hard, so it's very easy to take it personally. So, but it's a dilemma, really, you know, because also when it comes to the university, and there's only 6 students in every grade on the university where I teach. So there's few students, and they are comparing each other with each other. Yeah, the best thing if you manage to create it is, of course, people encourage them to have ambition, not being afraid of failing, and push themselves. They have to push themselves also. It's great if you can create the kind of dynamics in the classroom that is like, come on now, we are onto something that is interesting. Let's perform the best we can perform, and put in some energy in your work and take your work seriously. At the same time, take risks, and if you fail, no worries, you just try it next time again.
That's one thing that Ruben's really good at, is allowing that space to happen. And that's what I experienced on this film working with him, was not being afraid to make mistakes. And I think that was one of the keys to the way we worked together. I felt like I could just lose myself and not worry about hitting marks and making it perfect, because the gems are really in the mistakes. They're hidden within the mistakes, because they're the moments that flesh out and become things. And so that was, I think that's a very important thing, to not be afraid to get in and lose yourself, work hard, go far as you can go, and then take it even that much further. He pushes you even that much further, so you're just like, you have to lose yourself, and then you forget yourself, and then you can actually be in the moment and really just a reactor rather than trying to accomplish something.
Right, and that's the whole primate metaphor, is that we all have those tendencies of the primate, but we're self-conscious, whereas the primate is at peace. Tippy, I think the monkey.
And that self-consciousness comes from fear. It comes from the fear of not doing something right, or not being liked, or not you know, appealing to everyone, or being, you know, friends, or doing it right, you know, doing it right. So when you lose that, things start happening that you couldn't imagine, that you couldn't try to do. They just appear in front of you, and you just embrace them and run with it.
No, but I think it's one thing that I also, as a director, you are scared to not live up to the role that is expected from you. And I think that every day when I come to set, I are in, like, you know, almost panic. Oh my God, this is being so bad. And the idea that I have here on the script, I thought it would be so good. But as soon as you set up the camera and you start shooting, then you feel like, how should I solve this, you know? And in the beginning of a career, then you are afraid to expose that. But when the more that you have worked, then you actually can be transparent, and you can say, I don't know yet, but give me an example, let's try. And you try out the scene, it's not in that way. And when you are transparent with it, then you can, like, find a solution of how to deal with the scene, and not be too obsessed with yourself playing a role of being a director. Because insecureness is something that is very important if you're a director, because that's connected to your instrument. So when you feel it's not right, you know, that's right, and it's still not right, but there it is. The only thing that you should be able to do as a director is being true to your instrument. So in the moment when you find it, there it is. Then your profession is, like, how do you say? That's what you're aiming for, to get that moment. And if you don't stay true to your instrument and just want to pretend that you are in control, you know, then you're losing the reason why you should be a director. So exposed when you don't know what to do, and still you have to be in control of it. You're the one that is running the show, you know. So it can't be like there are 10 chefs. It have to be one chef. But then give time to yourself and trying to figure out, what is it that I don't want? What is it that I want? And when you find it, yeah, okay, here it is. But yeah, so time on set is important to me.
The same for an actor. Same exact process. You can't come in as an actor and go, well, I'm an actor, and this I know I know exactly what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna nail it, you know, the first take, you know. you gotta know, allow yourself to do it wrong and go, no, that's not it, and let's try something different. Okay, oh yes, okay, and we're on to something here. Okay, I'm gonna boom, and then all of a sudden you just like, and you just, it starts like, it's like a symphony, and all of a sudden the symphony comes together, and you're like, whoa, and it comes up, and you're like, it's happening, and you just go, boom, allow it to continue to happen. This is working. We're in it. We're in it. We're in it. Let's just allow it to continue. Go, and then just the moments come, and then moments start appearing in front of you, and then you just embrace them, and you embrace the fear. What we call it as actors. You take the fear and you go, I'm not going to go, oh, I'm not supposed to be afraid. I'm an actor. And no, you embrace the fear. You go, I'm afraid. I'm scared shitless right now, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to use it as fuel. Yeah.
Do you think overconfidence is the mark of an amateur?
No, I think it can be good sometimes, that you're like, come on, we're going to create something that is historical. We're going to make a scene that is like really, really good. That is a good ambition for me. But you also have to allow yourself to struggle with the scene and be able to, dare to stay in that struggle. And I think that's something that is important when it comes to like shooting, for example. I think time on set is something that is so important for me, because otherwise I could only cover up the script, only shooting the script so we can maybe put this together in the editing room. But for me, it's like, okay, how do we create something unique to happen on set in front of the cameras? And then you need time. So I think that the young directors that are looking at this double the amount of shooting days, and then ask the producer to count on how we make this possible. Because very often it's about the structure, how we use the money on shooting. The films that I have made have been costing maybe 5 million euros was the square. And I said to the producer, I want 70 shooting days. And then he has to calculate how to use the money so it makes it possible. So we actually have to be able to think out of the box and think out of the normal way of producing a movie in order to get the circumstances that we need to perform in a good way on the level that we want to perform. So think outside of the box. How do you create time on set if that is what you need? Yeah.
And speaking of time, 2.5-hour movie, I actually would have enjoyed a 5-hour movie because I was lost in the world of Christian. But how did you, and I don't want to use the word defend, but how did you keep that time with your distributors?
When after we won the Golden Palm, it was no problem at all.
It was encouraged.
But
yeah.
Before that, no. I can understand that they have a time slot in the cinemas that they have to deal with, and if you have a film that is over 2 hours, then you can't screen the film as many times on one night. So that is, of course, a practical problem. But for me, if I look at the greatest, experience I've had of cinema the last 10 years, all of the movies that was like that have been over 3 hours almost. It was Blue is the Warmest Color, Lawrence Anyways, Holy Motors, and all of them were like giving me a ride that is longer than 2 hours. So I have to trust that also, that and if we're going to push this show with this performance a little bit longer for the audience, they will also have a stronger impression afterwards.